Makati, July 14th, 2026. A media room, a row of cameras, and one 21-year-old left-hander saying out loud the thing an entire country had been waiting to hear. The Asian Games are in her plans. That is the sentence. No trophy promise, no guarantee. Just a target named in public 3 years after the last time she carried the flag onto that particular stage. And to understand why one line at a press availability matters this much, you have to hold two images in your head at the same time. Image 1, Hangzhou. 2023, Alex on the Asian Games podium, a bronze medal around her neck, a teenager who had just surprised a continent. Image 2, Makati. 2026, the same player, back on home soil, after a Wimbledon run that rewired what a Filipino tennis player is allowed to dream about. Same athlete, same event on the horizon, completely different weight. Start with what that bronze actually was, because the count matters. At the Asian Games in Hangzhou, Eala did not come home with one medal. She came home with two: bronze in women's singles, bronze in mixed doubles, playing alongside Francis Alcantara, two bronze medals in a country that had never produced a Grand Slam level tennis champion in its history. That was not a letdown. That was a door being kicked open. She was a teenager at those games, barely out of the junior ranks, already medaling twice at the biggest multi-sport event on the continent, in the same week, on the same courts. For a Filipino tennis fan who had spent a lifetime watching the podium belong to other countries, that week in Hangzhou was the first real taste of what standing there could feel like. Read that word again, breakthrough. In 2023, bronze was the ceiling cracking for the first time. In 2026, bronze might feel like the floor. That is the contradiction sitting at the center of this whole story. The exact same medal, 3 years apart, meaning two completely opposite things. The first time, it was proof she belonged. The next time, it could feel like a job left unfinished. If you have followed this climb since the Junior Grand Slam days, since before the London crowds knew her name, do one thing right now. Name the medal you think she brings home from Aichi Nagoya, gold, silver, or bronze. Drop it in the comments and let the timestamp prove you called it before the draw ever existed. Then stay, because the gap between those two images is the entire episode. Rewind to the announcement itself, because the wording is careful, and the caution is the point. At the Makati media availability on July 14th, Eala said the Asian Games are part of her plans. Sit with what that is, and what it is not. It is a stated intention. It is not a signed, sealed, locked-in entry. She is targeting the event. That is the honest version, and this channel is not going to inflate a plan into a promise she never made. That is your recency anchor. One media availability, one confirmation of intent, one target spoken into a microphone. Now walk the distance she has covered since Hangzhou, because it is enormous, and every step of it is on the record. Before the grass season ever came into view, the 2025 year was already a staircase. A breakthrough run at the Miami Open, upset wins over higher-ranked names stacked one on top of the next, a semifinal in Berlin on grass, a WTA 125 title in Birmingham, a trophy in her hands weeks before the championships. Miami, Berlin, Birmingham. Line those up in order. That is not one hot week. That is a player leveling up in public, tournament by tournament, until the rest of the tour had no choice but to notice. Exhibit A. Wimbledon 2025, on the grass at the All England Club, Eala beat the defending champion, Barbora Krejcikova, 7-6, 6-2. Straight sets against the reigning Wimbledon winner. That is not a lucky bounce. That is a Filipina taking the scalp of a Grand Slam champion on the most famous lawn in the sport. She rode that run all the way to the round of 16 before Jasmine Paolini closed her out. Exhibit B, the endorsement that followed. Within hours of the Krejcikova result, Maria Sharapova, a 5-time Grand Slam champion and a former world #1, posted 2 words about her: a star. The player a young Alex Eala once named as her idol looked at the scoreline and put her name on it. And Sharapova was not the only one who leaned in. Across that London fortnight, Billie Jean King met her in person. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, stood beside her courtside. Front Office Sports, a business outlet that measures athletes in cold market terms, called her one of the biggest draws in tennis right now. Read that again. Not one of the biggest draws in the Philippines. In tennis, full stop. That is the profile she is carrying back into the Asian Games conversation, and it did not exist the last time she stood on that podium. Exhibit C, and this is the one the doubters need to hear. The SE Games 2025. Women's Singles. Gold. Eala went to a regional championship carrying the label of the country's biggest sporting hope, walked into the pressure, and won it. That matters more than any highlight reel, and here is why. Put the SEA Games gold next to the Asian Games question, and the picture sharpens. The knock on any young star is simple. Can she win when the flag is on her back and the whole country is watching? In 2025, she answered it. She has already learned how to carry national expectation and still close the match. That is not a hypothetical anymore. That is a result with her name on it. So line up the timeline in order. Bronze in Hangzhou, a staircase of growth, a Wimbledon run that made her a global name, a SEA Games gold that proved she wins under the weight of a nation, and now, a return to the exact stage where the story started. Bronze, growth, expectation, return, and ahead of her, the one color of metal she has never worn. Now zoom out, because the national meaning here is not small. The Philippines has crowned world champions in boxing, in pool, in volleyball at the regional level. The phrase "the pride of the Philippines" has been earned before, most famously by a fighter from General Santos. But tennis was always the missing chapter, never a Grand Slam champion, never a global tennis name the country could point to, until this left-hander from Quezon City started climbing. A gold medal at the Asian Games would not just be a personal milestone, it would be a first. The kind of first that gets taught to the next generation of kids picking up a racket in Manila and Cebu and Davao. That is the size of what is quietly being discussed in that Makati media room. Now for the honest counterweight, because this story has a real doubt inside it, and pretending otherwise would insult the people watching. Nothing about this is finalized. She has said the Asian Games are in her plans. Plans change. Injuries change them. Scheduling changes them. Ranking priorities change them. Nobody should treat a stated target as a guaranteed entry, and this channel will not. And there is the calendar, which deserves an honest look, and nothing more than that. The Aichi Nagoya Asian Games run from September 19th to October 4th, 2026. That window opens close on the heels of the US Open period, when the tour's biggest hardcourt stretch has just wrapped. Two demanding events, back-to-back on the map. Now here is where the discipline matters. It would be easy to spin that into a fatigue story, a burnout angle, a scheduling crisis. There is no verified reporting that says any of that, so this channel will not invent it. What we can say, factually, is that the timing is tight, and the decision to play carries a real cost in a long season. What she does with that is her call, and we do not have it yet. There is also the plain question of the medal itself. Bronze in Hangzhou was a breakthrough, but she has never stood on the top step of an Asian Games podium. Gold at this level would mean beating the best of a deep continental field across singles. Asia is not a soft draw. China, Japan, and Kazakhstan routinely send players who live inside the world's top ranks, players who grind on the same tour Eala does week after week, going the distance against that field, match after match, with a medal on the line each time, is not a formality. That is a mountain. Framing it as anything less than an ambition she has not personally guaranteed, would be dishonest. And that is exactly what separates this return from the last one. In 2023, she arrived as the surprise, the teenager nobody had to plan around. In 2026, she would arrive as a name on every opponent's whiteboard, the one they prepare for, the one they would love to beat. The bronze was won in the shadows. The gold, if it comes, has to be won in the spotlight. So hold both truths at once. She is more accomplished, more famous, and more battle-tested than the teenager who won bronze. And the gold is still an open question, not a coronation waiting to happen. That tension is exactly what makes the return worth watching. Now for the payoff. Picture the version of this that Filipino fans are quietly imagining. Aichi Nagoya, Autumn 2026. a packed stand, flags in the crowd, the same flags that filled the London grass a year earlier, and a player who once accepted bronze as the summit of what was possible, now walking out to find out if she can reach the color above it. That is the arc. That is the whole reason this announcement is not filler news. So rewind the tape one more time, fast, all of it. Hangzhou, 2 bronze medals, one alongside Francis Alcantara. Wimbledon, a straight sets win over the defending champion, and a run to the round of 16. Sharapova, 2 words, a star. The Sea Games, women's singles gold, expectation carried and converted. Makati, July 14th, a microphone, and a target named out loud. Aichi Nagoya, September 19th to October 4th, the stage where it all began, waiting for her again. She has already proven she can stand on that podium. The only question left is which step. So here is the question worth arguing about in the comments. If Alex Eala returns to the Asian Games in 2026, is she going back simply to represent the country she loves, or to finish the medal journey she started as a teenager in Hangzhou? And if she plays, do you want her chasing gold in singles, in mixed doubles, or in both? Drop your answer below. Because in 2023, Alex Eala proved she could stand on the Asian Games podium. In 2026, she may return to find out whether she can stand at the very top of it. When the entry is official, when the draw is set, and when she walks back onto that stage, you will see every step of it here first.